Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Shan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. The government eases control in 15 sectors, including mining and civil aviation, defence, broadcasting, construction, and investment norms also relax for companies controlled by NRIs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to leave for 5-day tour of UK and Turkey from Thursday. Issues related to economy, security and energy to dominate discussions. Nitish Kumar to take oath as Bihar Chief Minister on the 20th of November for the third time. No decision yet on Speaker and Deputy Chief Minister. Our focus story this evening, protests escalate over the issue of one rank, one pension notification. Former servicemen return their medals. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar calls protests unbecoming of former servicemen. And Myanmar prepares to shrug off decades of army control. Opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi's party on the verge of a landslide election victory. The top story this evening, the government today announced that it will ease FDI norms in 15 sectors. The announcement comes a day ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United Kingdom. Among other sectors, FDI norms will be eased in mining, civil aviation, defence, broadcast and construction. Since coming to power last year, the Modi government has increased FDI limit in the insurance sector to 49%. It has allowed foreign participation in defence up to 49% and up to 100% FDI in railway projects. Now to our focus story for this evening. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar criticised the army veterans today after they decided to return their medals in protest against the proposed OROP scheme. He asked the ex-servicemen should put their grievances before the Pay Commission. The veterans have been protesting against some of the clauses in the scheme for the past 5 months.
Retired military personnel are unhappy over their demands not fulfilled in the one rank, one pension scheme. The ex-servicemen who have been protesting at Jantar Mantar in Delhi since June have rejected the notification issued by Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar on Saturday. Protesting army veterans have opposed the scheme in its present form. As a mark of protest, they gathered outside the Indira Gandhi International Airport to return their medals.
ये डिमांड तो बहुत पुरानी है और गवर्नमेंट ने सैंक्शन भी कर दिया था, उसको 17 महीने हो गए. वन रैंक वन पेंशन जो सैंक्शन है 2 पार्लियामेंट से, सरकार ने इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं किया था. हम एजिटेशन कर रहे हैं. 149 दिन में है. अभी सरकार ने 7 तारीख को जो नोटिफिकेशन इशू किया है वो वन रैंक वन पेंशन नहीं है.
ओआरओपी का लेटर हमें नहीं दे रहे हैं. अभी तक हमारा चालू रहेगा 24 घंटे वाला, जितनी ज्यादा ओआरओपी का लेटर हमें नहीं देंगे.
However, Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar criticised the protesting ex-servicemen. Terming the implementation of the scheme as one of the major achievements, Parrikar said that not all demands of the veterans could be met.
Almost all the major aspect of OROP has been complied with. Plus, a commission is being put up. That commission will look into any other small matters if they are remaining. अगर किसी की तकरार है, कंप्लेन है, वो दे सकता है उधर. उसको मेडल रिटर्न करने की जरूरत नहीं है. और कोई अगर ये बाद में इतना करने के बाद भी अगर कोई करना चाहता है तो डेमोक्रेसी परमिट्स एवरीवन. आई कैन नॉट स्टॉप एनीवन.
The notification is more or less in line with what Parrikar had announced on September 5th. However, it has dropped the proposal to exclude ex-servicemen who had sought premature retirement from the ambit of OROP. But the armed forces personnel who opt to get discharged on their request would henceforth not get OROP benefits. The scheme is likely to benefit over 24 lakh ex-servicemen and 6 lakh war widows in the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And we have with us in our studio Lieutenant General Utpal Bhattacharya is a defence expert and somebody who can really tell us as far as the protesting veterans are concerned. Lieutenant General Bhattacharya, it is indeed sad for the country that they're returning their medals, but this impasse doesn't seem to end. Is there a middle ground?
Obviously, it could have been dealt in a much better manner. In fact, there could have been a discussions. The things which have been left now, let's chalk out the points first. It is with the same amount of service, with the same rank, officers, JCOs who are retiring, they should get the same pension irrespective of the date of retirement, whether they have retired in 67 or 77 or 87, whether they have been benefited by the latest pay commissions, which was the 6th and which is going to be 7th very soon. That was the only demand. There has been a Kosheri committee, Bhagat Singh Kosheri. There are 10 MPs there in that. There are 4 bureaucrats. There is a 14-member committee. That was the only demand. Now the second point is, after doing all these things, you are doing ORFP, 1 rank 5 pensions. Otherwise it will be a terrible job for the government. They will only be calculating throughout the day, throughout the year and all. So it's a massive logistical problem. We are number 1 country in the world as far as the IT is concerned. Is that a problem? We can, I think Azim Premji or Narayan Murthy, if they are asked to do this and take out a software for that, they will send their team and they will do it free of cost. They will not take any money for this. So it is, instead of making 1 rank 5 pensions, because every 5 years then it will be reviewed. That means one who has retired 4 years earlier than his colleague who has retired today with the same amount of service with the same rank, he will continue getting less money for 48 months or rather for 60 minus 1, 59 months. That is the major thing. Other small little issues are there. It could have been easily resolved. If the government is ready to shed out about 8 to 10,000 rupees, initially of course little more, 12,000 rupees per year, then this would have cost them another peanuts. And the second point is, how these PMR and all these things coming, anybody who is drawing his pension should be getting 1 rank 1 pension. If in any case you are retiring before 20 years of service, then I am talking about the officers, or even for the JCOs who are, if they do not fulfill that color service things, they don't earn the pensions, they don't get the OROP. Anybody getting pensions to make things
so you're saying the government has made it too complicated and the ex-servicemen really want clarity from the government. But as far as the government is concerned, just putting their side forward, they're saying that the demand was for 1 rank 1 pension and in principle that demand has been met. Now whatever discrepancies are there, whatever doubts are there, the conversation can happen through the pay commission. Why stall such a thing and why create an atmosphere that is really not conducive for the health of the country? Do you buy that argument of the government?
No, absolutely. I mean, this is very unfortunate. I wish this wouldn't have happened, but the point is government should also take a step forward and do not wait for the 7th Pay Commission. As you know, the 7th Pay Commission, which is due from 1st January 2017, will actually see the day of the light. You might get the areas after about 1.5 years. That has been happening with all the previous pay commissions. So government should have taken a step forward, should have called some of the representatives, the ex-chiefs of 3 services, and could have easily resolved it without jargons of this, not only but also if that happens, then this happens. It's a plain and simple things which have been made complicated.
All right, Lieutenant General Acharya, we leave it over there, but thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand this issue a little better. Moving on now, ahead of the winter session of Parliament, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will begin a 2-nation tour of the United Kingdom and Turkey from tomorrow. Economy, security and energy are expected to dominate the Prime Minister's agenda during the bilateral talks in Britain and at the G20 summit in Turkey. His UK visit will also include a grand reception at the Wembley Stadium on Friday, which is billed as the biggest political rally in the history of the UK.
18 months after coming to power, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting United Kingdom for the first time. Starting Wednesday, he will be in UK for the next 3 days, during which he will hold bilateral talks with the leadership, including Prime Minister David Cameron. Issues like security, anti-terror campaign are some of the key agendas on PM's list to do. An estimated $15 billion trade and investment deals are expected from Modi's UK visit.
There would be a lot of political and security-related discussions both on global and regional issues.
Before his visit, Modi contributed an article on the Sunday Times about his expectations from the visit. He pinned hope for more foreign investments from UK to boost economy. Food security, climate change are some of the other issues on which he hopes to have cooperation from UK. The Prime Minister will meet the Queen and also attend a grand reception at the iconic Wembley Stadium on the last day of his visit. He is also scheduled to address the Indian diaspora in an event described as Olympic style. However, opposition parties have come out slamming PM's frequent visits abroad.
Nothing comes out of these visits except a bit of chest thumping here and there. And considering that people of India are rejecting him, so maybe his hunger for crowds abroad is what takes him out of the country ever so often.
अब बिहार में और देश में तो उनके भ्रमण के लिए कुछ कम ही जगह बची हैं। अब वो विदेश में रह करके NRI प्रधानमंत्री का टैग लिए घूमते रहें, यही उनके लिए अच्छा है।
Fresh from the poll defeat in Bihar, Modi has to now assure Britain that opposition will not stall key reforms and that business will not be hampered. Modi will be the first Indian Prime Minister to visit UK in a decade. UK had boycotted Modi for 10 years after the 2002 riots when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Nitish Kumar is also set to take oath as Chief Minister for the third time of Bihar. The swearing-in ceremony is likely to take place on the 20th of November in Patna. Talks on government formation have already started among the three constituent parties of the Grand Alliance.
2 days after the Grand Alliance swept the Bihar polls, talks on government formation have begun among its three constituents. In all likelihood, the swearing-in ceremony will take place on the 20th of November, when Nitish Kumar will take oath as Bihar Chief Minister for the 5th time. According to JDU leader Vashisht Narayan Singh, the delay in the ceremony is because of Diwali and Chhath, which ends on the 18th of November. Another reason for the delay is that the three parties of the Grand Alliance need time to decide on who would be the Speaker and whether Lalu Prasad's son will be made the Deputy CM. A decision on whether the Congress will join the government in Bihar is also awaited. Party President Sonia Gandhi will take the final call on this. Reports say Nitish Kumar is likely to apply the tested formula of one minister for every 5 MLAs. He is also expected to negotiate for departments like roads, electricity, health and education, areas which he promised to boost in his 7-point agenda during the election campaign. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, voices of dissent continue to be raised in the BJP after the Bihar Assembly election results. But today, for the first time, a party MP directly targeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi and BJP Chief Amit Shah for the debacle. Begusarai MP Bholanath said that the defeat is a suicide by the party.
Rumblings of discontent in the BJP. The Prime Minister and the BJP chief in the line of fire after the Bihar debacle. At least one party MP accusing both of injecting communalism instead of talking of development.
रोजी रोटी और अच्छी जिंदगी देने की बदली लोगों ने गाय और पाकिस्तान को चुनाव का मुद्दा बनाया.
The Begusarai MP alleged that the Prime Minister fell into RJD chief Lalu Prasad's trap. He claimed that in the process, Modi lost his dignity during the campaign, while Nitish Kumar retained his poise and attracted votes. But not everyone in the party agrees.
जो लोग खाते भारतीय जनता पार्टी के हैं, जो सांसद भारतीय जनता पार्टी के बने, जिनको फर्श से उठाकर अर्श पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी लाई है, जिनका नाम भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने रोशन किया है, शत्रुघ्न सिन्हा भारतीय जनता पार्टी को चुनौती न दें, बल्कि अगर लालू से मिलना ही था तो पहले सांसद बनने के पहले लालू से मिल लेते, नीतीश से मिलना ही था तो इसके पहले नीतीश से मिल लेते.
Another party MP, Shatrughan Sinha, also escalated his tiff within the BJP as he responded to an insult hurled at him by party leader Kailash Vijayvargiya. Although other party leaders Narayan Yadav, Shatrughan Sinha and R.K. Singh also expressed reservations at various aspects of the party's campaign, it was the first time that an MP directly attacked Modi and Shah.
लालू जी का वोट नीतीश जी को ट्रांसफर हुआ और लोकसभा में जो उन लोगों को वोट मिला था वही वोट आपस में जुड़ गया और हमारा वोट घटा नहीं, इसलिए वो जीत गए और हम लोग चुनाव हार गए. अभी भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता, एनडीए के कार्यकर्ता चुनाव जरूर हारे हैं, लेकिन वो अर्थमेटिक की वजह से हारे हैं और इसमें कोई कारण नहीं है.
Sensing the mood within, Home Minister Rajnath Singh has meanwhile rejected the suggestion that Modi should be held responsible for the Bihar results. He also denied that RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat's remarks on the reservation policy spoiled the NDA's prospects. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time for us to take a very quick break. On the other side, celebrations to mark the birth anniversary of Tipu Sultan turned violent in Karnataka. One VHP activist killed and several injured in clashes with cops.
Mr. Narendra Modi's personal credibility in terms of a person who speaks of Vikas but also delivers had taken a big hit. It's a myth that minorities have voted for us only because they believe the BJP is largely a Hindu party. Unless you respect that plurality and that composite culture, you are not going to be able to deliver on governance, and you will also divide the country.
Watch senior JDU leader Pawan Verma articulate in State of the Economy on Rajya Sabha television.
Get live Rajya Sabha session. News, views, reports and analysis you can trust on social media. Subscribe, follow, like Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now to news from Karnataka, where a Vishwa Hindu Parishad activist died and many others were injured, including policemen, in clashes in the Madikeri town of Karnataka. The trouble started over celebrations to mark the birth anniversary of the 18th century Mysore ruler Tipu Sultan. Police used tear gas and batons to disperse the hundreds of opponents and supporters of the celebrations. VHP activist D.S. Kotappa died of head injuries in the protest. Madikeri in Kodagu district has been tense for the past few days of the government's plan to celebrate the 266th birth anniversary of Tipu. The VHP, RSS, Bajrang Dal and BJP organized dozens of protests in Kodagu and other parts of the state in the last few weeks, describing Tipu Sultan as a religious bigot who tormented Hindus.
There was a likelihood of a clash between the two groups. So to prevent that clash, there was a mild lathi charge to ensure that these people get dispersed from the GT circle. And accordingly they dispersed from GT circle and they were sent to the town hall direction. They all went to the town hall. Afterwards there was some stone pelting from town hall side.
This is because of this tried to disturb the communal harmony, and they have called the Bandh today in Kodagu. They should not have. We are celebrating, the government is celebrating Tipu Jayanti. Why they have called the Bandh?
There should be a judicial inquiry into it, and I demand this PFD and KFD, whatever it is, all these organizations which are the running this activity, they have to be banned. Third thing is, the concerned police officer has to be suspended.
It is unfortunate that a man has been killed. It's regrettable, but at the same time, I totally condemn the protest against the Tipu Sultan centenary celebration. If we cannot celebrate the centenary of Tipu Sultan, then whose centenary celebration in this country, secular country, can be celebrated?
Let's now get you some more news and updates from around the country nationwide. Kerala Finance Minister K.M. Mani today refused to resign over the bar bribery scandal. This comes a day after the High Court cleared the way for a further probe against him. Chief Minister Umen Chandi met his ministers to discuss if Mani should step down. However, Mani's party UDF is threatening to pull down the government if he's made to resign. Security was stepped up in parts of Punjab after radical Sikh organizations removed the five Sikh head priests. They appointed Jagtar Singh Harwara, a convict in the Byan Singh assassination case, as the Jathedar of the Akal Takht. Thousands of people attended the event along with many senior Sikh leaders. Sri Lanka on Monday freed all 126 Indian fishermen arrested by its navy for allegedly poaching in the country's water. This release came after Sri Lanka and India completed formalities for the release of the fishermen detained in each other's countries. Indian authorities are also expected to release 37 Sri Lankan fishermen from custody. Some international news now, and another day of waiting for the election results in Myanmar. Fresh results showed opposition NLD winning many more seats in parliament. Party leader Aung San Suu Kyi is now confident that her party will win a two-thirds majority. Meanwhile, EU observers today declared the poll as credible and transparent.
Myanmar heading towards massive change. A fresh batch of election results on Tuesday showed opposition NLD on the road to a sweeping election victory. Of the 159 results declared so far, NLD won 144. The military-backed Union Solidarity and Development Party got 8. The rest were claimed by ethnic minority parties. The NLD even announced its unofficial victory. A confident Aung San Suu Kyi claimed she's confident her party had won a parliamentary majority. Celebrations began outside the party headquarters, where thousands of NLD supporters had gathered, waiting for the final result. European Union observers said the elections were better than expected, but added that more reforms were needed to ensure genuine elections in the future.
The process went better than many expected beforehand. It is also true, however, that more is needed, more reforms are needed to ensure that truly genuine elections can take place in the future.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon also congratulated the people of Myanmar for their enthusiasm in the historic elections.
The Secretary General, however, wishes to congratulate the people of Myanmar for their patience, dignity and enthusiasm as they participated in Sunday's historic polls. The Secretary General notes that the results of the polls have started to come in. He encourages all stakeholders in Myanmar to maintain their dignified spirit, calm and respect throughout the completion of the electoral process.
But even if Aung San Suu Kyi's NLD forms Myanmar's first democratically elected government since the early 1960s, she cannot be chosen the president. Myanmar's constitution does not allow people with foreign offspring to hold the top post. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's take a quick look at some other international news stories in Global Buzz. British Prime Minister David Cameron pitched for a bigger European Union reform today. Cameron said Britain's membership of the EU is not impossible, but it needs to be more flexible. Cameron is committed to negotiating a better deal with the EU ahead of an in or out referendum by the end of 2017. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu assured US President Barack Obama of commitment to a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Meeting Obama for the first time since signing of the Iran nuclear deal, Netanyahu said he backed the vision of two states for two peoples, but maintained that any Palestinian state must be demilitarized and recognize Israel as homeland of the Jewish people, a condition Palestinians have rejected. At least 5 people were injured in riots after an asylum seeker died at a controversial immigration detention centre in Australia. Reinforcements were rushed in after fences at the centre on the remote Australian outpost of Christmas Island were torn down and fires were lit, forcing guards to abandon the facility and allowing the vulnerable inmates by other detainees. Time to take a look at all the sports action in SportsBeat. Saina Nehwal and K. Srikanth will look to retain their crown as they start their campaign to defend the China Open Super Series Premier title. Saina had recently failed to win the Japan, Denmark and France Super Series, making early exits. She will take on China's Sun Yu in the opening round. BCCI is awaiting approval from the centre to hold bilateral series with Pakistan in December. The two sides are trying to revive cricketing ties amid strained bilateral relations. The board has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Pakistani Cricket Board to play a 2-test and 5-match one-day series in the UAE in December 2015. West Indian spinner Sunil Narine has been reported for a suspect bowling action. He was reported after the first one-day international against Sri Lanka in Falakele. Narayan's action had earlier been questioned in the IPL, but it's the first time he's been reported in an international match. He will need to undergo a test within 14 days. Regarded as one of the most picturesque cricket grounds in the world, the Dharamsala Cricket Stadium is all set to host test matches. The BCCI has given clearance to the stadium, which has a capacity of 21,600, besides a world-class indoor stadium. The popularity of the venue soared after 9 Indian IPL matches were held on the ground. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.